Hi, my name is Kelly Kramer, and I'm the manager of Foundation Partnerships for Best Friends Animal Society. I'm excited to talk to you today about a topic that we probably get more questions on than any other topic, and that is researching grants and how to find foundations. Finding grants can feel overwhelming, especially since there are nearly 87,000 foundations in the United States. On the flip side, many of you may not be looking for grants beyond the big animal welfare foundations like PetSmart Charities and Maddie's Fund. But there are tools and strategies you can use to help make the search for grants easier. We'll be discussing those today as we explore prospect research. First, we have to understand what prospect research is and why it's so important for winning grant awards. Prospect research is the process of identifying potential relationships and evaluating their giving interests and capacity. The important thing to note here is that there's more to just finding foundations and grants. You have to evaluate whether they're a good fit for your organization. Prospect research is important because it identifies potential foundation partners, it determines affinity for your cause, that is, a foundation's interest in and willingness to give to your cause. Prospect research helps match a foundation with the right program. For example, a foundation may be interested in animal welfare, but not spay-neuter specifically. Therefore, your organization's adoption program might be a better fit than its spay-neuter program. And lastly, prospect research informs the amount you request. If you look at a foundation's giving history and it doesn't make grants above $10,000, then your request will likely be at that level or below. So today, we will look at prospect research as a process of identifying foundations, evaluating their fit with your organization and programs, tracking prospects and the information you find, and then prioritizing the best prospects for your organization. A number of tools, both free and subscription-based, exist for helping you find foundations. Free tools include animalsheltering.org, which is hosted by the Humane Society of the United States. There you can find a listing of grant opportunities for animal welfare. You can also check out the website for Animal Grant Makers, a group of foundations and organizations making grants to benefit animals. Another free tool for finding foundations is the Grantsmanship Center's MAP tool, which allows you to select your state to view foundations that make grants in your area. FundsNet Services is a directory that provides information about grants, fundraising, philanthropy, and foundations at no cost to visitors. And lastly, GuideStar is a great tool for finding foundations in your area and a great place to look for a specific foundation's Form 990. A 990 is a foundation or nonprofit organization's tax return and holds loads of helpful information. We will talk about those more in a bit. Of course, nothing in life is free, so the most comprehensive research tools require paid subscriptions. Often, your local library or university will have a subscription that you can use. These include Foundation Directory Online, Foundation Search, GrantStation, and the Chronicle of Philanthropy. Foundation databases typically provide an overview of a foundation and easy access to information like the foundation's trustees and giving guidelines. When you're ready to start researching foundations and grants, your goal will be to find alignment with your organization. You'll do this by gathering a lot of information. But first, let's think about foundations as mission partners and not as funders. Like your organization, foundations have their own missions. Supporting the work of your organization might be one way for a foundation to carry out its mission. Your goal then is to align the foundation's philanthropic interests with your organization's work, as long as the foundation is a good fit. Foundations often give based on cause and geographic region. As you do prospect research, you'll want to look for foundations whose giving interests match your organization's mission, programs, population served, and location served. Start by casting a wide net and then gradually narrow down your list of prospects with various criteria. For example, foundation databases have search fields and filters to guide your research. If you're a nonprofit spay-neuter provider, start with animal welfare as the funding interest, which yields more than 3,000 results in Foundation Directory, instead of limiting it to animal population control, which yields only 98 results. From there, you can add criteria to fine-tune your prospect list. You might eliminate funders who don't make grants in your geographic region, as well as foundations that give only to pre-selected organizations. You might also eliminate foundations that don't make the type of grant you need. For example, if you're looking for funding for the new spay-neuter clinic your organization is building, but a foundation doesn't make capital grants, you can eliminate the foundation from your prospect list for that particular project. The information you will want to collect includes the foundation's name, location, contact information, mission, giving interests, types of grants, such as program grants, capital grants, and general operating grants, a list of trustees, information on the application process and deadlines, the average gift size, recent gifts to the same cause or organization similar to yours, and a potential program match. You can find this information through the foundation databases and search tools listed on the previous slide, as well as on a foundation's website or in its annual report, if they have them. One of the most useful tools is a foundation's Form 990, which is public information and can be found on GuideStar. In the 990, you'll be able to find almost all of the information you need, which is why we are dedicating the next webinar in this series to how to read a Form 990. To help guide your research and record important information, one of the handouts for this webinar is a prospect worksheet from GrantSpace. Be sure to download it before you start doing prospect research. Let's walk through a quick example. Here we are in Foundation Directory Online. I've clicked on Search Grantmakers at the top of the page. As you can see, I can search by different fields, including fields of interest, geographic focus, grantmaker location, and grantmaker name. Let's say I plug in animal adoptions as a field of interest and New York as the grantmaker's location. I might come across the Freed Foundation, located in New York City. Foundation Directory gives me an overview of the foundation, including its location, assets, and total giving for the past year, and links to the foundation's Form 990s. If I scroll down farther, I can find the foundation's giving limitations, purposes, and activities, giving interests, geographic focus, and application guidelines, among other things. This is all very helpful information, but since these databases aren't always up to date, you'll definitely want to look at the Foundation's most recent Form 990, which looks like this. These are big documents with a lot of information, so remember, we'll cover how to read a 990 in the next webinar. Once you have gathered this information, you're ready to assess whether the Foundation is a strong prospect for your organization. Use the information to look for a connection to your organization. Perhaps your organization's board and staff know someone at the Foundation and can make an introduction. You never know if one of your board members is in the Rotary Club with the president of a local family foundation. You want to look for a history of giving to similar causes in the past few years. Broadly, this could be animal welfare, but don't be overly restrictive here. If a foundation has given to other animal rescue groups, but not spay neuter specifically, that's okay. They could still be a good prospect. By the same token, think outside of animal welfare. Look to your local community foundation or family foundations. If your organization is meeting a need in the community, chances are you can make a good case to these foundations. Also look for a history of giving to your organization's focus area or type of program. Your cause may be animal welfare, but your focus area might be targeted spay neuter or foster care for at-risk animals. Be sure to look at the Foundation's history of making grants in the geographic location your organization serves. If a foundation doesn't grant to Indiana and your organization serves animals in Indiana, that foundation isn't going to be a good fit. And lastly, evaluate the foundation's capacity to give at a level that's meaningful to your organization. For some organizations, a $1,000 grant could be transformational. For those with bigger budgets, they may want to focus their time and resources on applying for grants that are over $5,000 or $10,000. And last but not least, track and prioritize your prospects. You have put in so much time finding and researching foundations. Be sure to record that information in a spreadsheet or your organization's donor database. But also be sure to track non-prospects. You never know when their giving priorities will change. It can also save time for other people researching grants in your organization if you've already disqualified a foundation as a prospect. Finally, prioritize your prospects. Grants take time and resources to complete. Start with the foundations that you think you have the best shot with, like those that are perfect matches. Those would be foundations that may have funded your organization in the past, that you have a direct connection to, and those that give in your area for the type of work your organization is doing. You can also prioritize foundations that are accessible and open to communication. Making contact with a foundation before you apply is important for relationship building and crafting a strong proposal. After a conversation, you might even learn that the foundation isn't a good fit after all. Unless the foundation's guidelines specifically prohibit calling, pick up the phone and have a conversation. Lastly, prioritize foundations with a lower barrier to entry so you can spend your time and energy well. A low barrier to entry would be submitting a letter of inquiry or a simple application as a first step, as opposed to a complicated application with a million questions and attachments. Follow the steps for identifying, evaluating, tracking, and prioritizing foundation prospects, and you're sure to find success with grants. Thank you for joining me today to talk about prospect research. I hope the information will help you as you look for grants to support the amazing work you're doing for animals. Check out the handout for this webinar. I've included a list of research tools and a worksheet to guide your research. And don't forget to join us for the next webinar in this series and part 2 of Researching Grants. We will answer any follow-up questions to prospect research and the information shared today, as well as take a deeper dive into IRS Form 990s and how to read them. If you have questions about this webinar or the handouts, please be sure to join us in the digital community and interact on the videos post. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon.